Welcome to Go Home Heat, a wrestling podcast. This is a sports entertainment podcast. Justin cannot be here in person. He does not feel well, so we are going to bring him in via satellite or a phone call, whatever you want to call it. We're going to go through Raw and SmackDown starting now. Justin is here. Justin?
Hello.
All right. Adam Pearce begins our Raw, and he's willing to have one of his team members fight Drew. They all come out here, and none of them are okay with either of the other teammates fighting. Riddle does some form of a promo here, which is not all that much. I didn't find it that funny. We eventually get to Braun beating up Pearce or pushing him down, and which means, of course, he will be suspended and then be the one who gets the match eventually. What did you think of this segment?
I didn't see the point of it, really. I mean, why would Braun go ape crap and then headbutt it?
I'm not sure.
It didn't make any sense.
Right. It was crazy.
It makes sense for, why didn't they just set up the matches? I don't understand the point of the Braun part. The other part was just, usual WWE, how are we going to set up a series of matches stuff, but
It would be cool if at some point we got a different style of how we set up a series of matches too.
it would be neat.
You could actually just skip to the matches for me.
Yeah, all we have to do is say, hey, look, we got these, 5 guys who are really good. We're going to set up a little mini tournament of them to see who the number one contender is.
Right. But what do we know, right? Hurt Business challenges Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, and Xavier accepts the challenge, and Kofi thinks that a day off means something completely different than Xavier does.
Apparently.
Yes, and so we wind up getting a tag team match between Sheldon Benjamin, Cedric Alexander, Xavier Woods, and Kofi Kingston. MVP shout out to George Papard. I love it when a plan comes together, which is a bum 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 A-Team reference. Yes, absolutely. The Hurt bit, they should come in a black van.
Yes.
And Bobby could drive. Dude, if Bobby showed up looking like Mr. T one day,
Oh my God. Best day ever.
he'd have me for life. Of course, Lana thought that too at one time, and
Oh yeah.
that didn't work out. So who knows? Yeah. Okay. So then the Hurt Business, of course, do some cheating here and there, and it's really good. But we wind up with a double count out, and of course, as they're walking away, because now Kofi gets his day off, MVP challenges him again. He questions their manhood. Of course, you can't question my manhood. So then I come back down there, and I show you my man. No. They fight. Right. So the New Day accepts, and they restart the match, and this was, again, really good stuff. Kofi does the backdrop over the top rope thing where he hurts his leg a little bit, but, of course, being Kofi, he guts it out. Woods gets the hot tag. Momentum swings. Eventually, Woods wins with the sunset flip over Shelton, and the disappointment in Joe's voice was amazing.
Oh yeah.
He's putting over the heels so good right now.
Oh, he's doing a great job.
Yeah. So you enjoyed this match?
I did. The only thing I have a problem with was the endings. Why are you burying the Hurt Business? They've been your mainstay here for months, and you have them lose 2 back-to-back matches in one show.
Right. I get it. Then we move on.
The whole Hurt Business got buried all show.
Yeah. That's right. That's coming, isn't it? Adam Pearce has a headache, but he will be fine. Looks like they put a little makeup on top of his head to make it look like he was injured.
Little help.
Yeah. Decision from the higher ups looms on what will happen to Braun Strowman, but you can't put your hands on a wrestling official.
Unless you really need a championship match.
Yes, in which case it's a good idea. Lashley needs a moment with Adam Pearce. And then Randy needs a moment with Adam Pearce. Everybody's wanting a championship match here.
Uh-huh.
And they've
I
all...
love Adam Pearce now.
Yeah, Adam Pearce is just... It's a tough day at work for Adam Pearce every week. Twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's the face of pro wrestling. Who knew?
Who knew? Never seen him before until like 3 or 4 months ago.
Right. Lana is getting an interview here after they give us a little quick review of what happened in the women's match, and she's happy. She feels amazing. It's the greatest moment of her career, and perhaps she deserves a title shot.
Yeah. Why couldn't they just have her push somebody out of the ring?
What do you mean? At Survivor Series?
Yeah.
Oh, I get it. Why couldn't she at least do something?
Yeah, to earn this. I don't care if it was basically nothing.
Right. Or like somebody run at her to knock her out of the ring and just have her just fall down in fear. Like hunker down like you're scared, and they go right over the top of you out of the ring and you win.
That's fine. I would have taken that. But standing on the steps.
Right.
But again, this is okay, but I still don't. I don't know.
I get you. All right, so we'll get to furthering this anyway. Charlie will try again with Adam Pearce to settle it. They've decided they're going to settle this thing in the ring. It took a while, but we got there. And Riddle versus Fire Crotch, Fire Head, Fire Face is going to be our first match here. And we get Riddle and Sheamus. And I thought this was really, really good.
Oh, this match was great.
Right. The mat wrestling early on was good compared with the MMA stuff. And then Riddle winds up, he does the second rope salt and the crossbody, and Sheamus just catches him out of the air. And then we wound up having what he had, second rope white noise in there somewhere. We got
these two have such good chemistry together.
Correct. And Sheamus beats him to the point where it looks like Riddle can't go on at all. And he actually collapses rather than get kicked in the head.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, that's an old Jay White move.
Uh-huh.
But Jay White does it like a heel, right? He's not really needing to collapse. He just does. Whereas Sheamus kind of did this to get you to feel to worry about him, And then Sheamus, with this thing in the bag, starts to run his mouth. Riddle recovers enough to get a headbutt in and a kick. We wind up with an electric chair spot that Sheamus rolls up, which was great. They turn that into a Texas cloverleaf, which turns into Riddle getting a tight roll-up win there. And I thought every bit of this wrestling was good.
Every bit of it. That was a great match.
And then we get...
Nothing to complain about.
No, not at all. Asuka winds up then with the... Asuka thinks that somehow or another Lana has challenged her, to which Lana's like, I didn't really challenge you. And Asuka says, okay, great, we'll have a match. And Asuka looks a little worried, which she should.
Lana looks worried.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Asuka ain't worried, right? Oh, boy, we get to the Funhouse next. And this was a lot.
Oh, boy, wasn't it?
Yes. Tonight we're going to talk about vile, evil friendship. 1 minute they're next door, the next minute they're burning down your house.
Yep.
Just like that evil Nikki Cross. And then the friendship frog comes out, and Abigail wants to know what is that, which was great. Puppets cussing. We've referred to puppets cussing before. We love it. Alexa bludgeons the friendship frog, and we get a quick tribute video from Tadpole 2 Graduation, 1980-2020. Moment of silence.
Some people were smart enough to notice is Randy Orton's birth age too.
Is it?
Yes.
That is great. That is great. Something in common. See, that's attention to detail that Bray gives you, though.
Yes. There are levels to everything he does. If you just look around a bit, you'll find, it's like Easter eggs.
Right. Right.
The thought he put into it is...
Yeah. And, of course, he really put some thought into this. Too bad he croaked. Because he's a frog. You get it?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Okay. Lana versus Asuka is next. And Lana and Asuka manage to string... Well, let me rephrase that. Asuka manages to help Lana string together some pretty good stuff here until Baszler and...
Yes, she does.
Yeah. It was all right, right? Yeah. And then, of course, Baszler and Shayna come out and put a whooping on them. And then,
Baszler and Jax.
what?
Baszler and Jax.
Yeah,
Baszler and Shayna.
Baszler and Shayna would be the same person. Right. My bad. And Nia Jax. And then Lana winds up saving Asuka from the fate of the table. And that turns into a challenge, and we get a tag match. Lana does okay here, but winds up getting beaten up. Asuka has a really good hot tag moment. As Nia's going to put Lana through a table, she fights down and dodges, and Nia winds up going over the table. When Shayna turns her attention to that, Asuka rolls her up for the win, and we have a win over the tag team champs, and Asuka walks away as Lana sprints away to celebrate her victory at the top of the...
Which I thought was good.
Yeah, of course. Of course it was good. Yeah, all that was all right. It was fun. Riddle rolls up on MVP. Bro G, as he called him. MVP does not find him funny at all, I don't think. He wants to talk with Bobby. Riddle...
Good ideas, man. Entrepreneurial ideas.
Pizza yogurt was one of them. MVP doesn't think pizza yogurt's the win that Riddle seems to believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm with MVP on that. I don't know that pizza yogurt has the tracks to do anything there, but we'll see. Get your ideas together, and we'll do business. Or if we don't like them, we'll really do business.
So next week we're getting Shark Tank.
Yeah. Yes, MVP Shark Tank. That's right. Okay, Keith Lee versus Bobby Lashley is next, and this is pretty good, man. Big boys. Bobby dominates early. Lee's huge. They do stuff that only the two of them could do against each other. Jumping over one another, and then get the pounce, and the MVP cheats a little bit here, and Lashley tries to get the full Nelson on him, and he can't, and then he tries to do the sleeper on him, and Lee does what any big man in a sleeper should do and just falls back, squashes him. And then, of course, MVP panics and jumps into the ring because they're not going to give us a clean winner here. But
What?
what?
Ridiculous.
What?
That was stupid. Stupid end.
Yeah,
Match stupid ending.
right. The two competitors did great, but whoever wrote it, I mean, I get it. They don't want Lashley to lose to Lee, and they want to save like the clean finish for down the road. But losing one match shouldn't kill you.
No.
And it's fine. I mean, yeah, right. Okay, I got you. Then we get Nikki. Doing a quick interview about how the Fiend has overwhelmed Alexa and that she's not the same person anymore, and she's going to beat the Fiend out of her. They deserve each other. And then we get a match, and Alexa has new music, to which the Fiend's, it's a mixture of hers and the Fiend's, and his head pops up every now and then. I think it's pretty, I liked it. And then we get a good, you did too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then we get a heck of a little performance, not match. Alexa eludes early, then Nikki gets flustered, goes kind of crazy, and begins to impose her will on Alexa, and Alexa begins to morph back into who we know has always been Alexa before, the best friend. Turns out that is a ruse. As soon as Nikki lets her guard down, Alexa plants her head in the mat for the 1, 2, 3. She puts her elbows over the top of Alexa and puts the play and the pain hands up and gives us the giggles. I thought it was great. You liked it?
Oh, I liked it. It wasn't their match. It was just the first prelude to what's going to be a rivalry. But it was a good starter.
Absolutely, it was. I liked it, man. I liked it a lot. Now we get the Taker Goodbye film. You didn't get to talk about Taker that much because you weren't on the Survivor Series show. You want to, do you have anything you want to say about Taker? I mean,
well, just like for me, Taker was the guy who got me into wrestling. I mean, that was the guy who made it cool for me. He was always my favorite for years and years and years, and still will always probably be. my sentimental favorite. He's just a larger than life character that made wrestling a lot of fun and a lot of great cool moments, a lot of great, holy crap moments throughout the history of wrestling. You can never, for all he's done, you can never pay him enough praise.
Right. I agree.
I don't care who's won more matches. I don't care who's won more championships. It's pro wrestling. That's all storyline anyway.
Well, I do remember
people who are, just larger than life, amazing spectacles. They'll never beat anybody.
Right. Now, I do remember, it's funny that you said that. I like that you said that because Triple H was talking about Kurt Angle one time, and he said, he basically was saying that the biggest compliment you can give somebody is if what they're involved in is important, regardless of whether or not they have a championship. And Taker never needed a belt to be important. Taker, due to the design of the character, whether he was the first version or the American Badass or whatever he was in, was bigger than the belt. And that probably was annoying to somebody like Shawn, but you couldn't deny it. And then the legacy, of course, I said before, of having the 4 matches of the year in a row at WrestleMania and all that. But all that's really secondary to just what he stood for in the company. And just when you think of, we've gone away from what Vince believes pro wrestling is, which is some form of entertainment. I mean, Taker's obviously his greatest creation and the greatest WWE superstar ever, right? It couldn't have happened without Hogan, but Taker never even contemplating leaving is what continues. Dude, if Taker goes to WCW, it's all different. Yeah. He's just and it's just amazing career, all that stuff. And what a performer, too. Geez. At his size, to be as athletic as he was and to be willing to hold back a little bit of that in order for the character to be what mattered, and then give you those explosions every now and then. It just perfect, almost like a horror movie character, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna let you sleep on me until it's snowing. Then all of a sudden
right, go over the top rope, or all those things he could do. Okay. Orton versus Styles. Speaking of legends, we got 2 of them right here in the main event.
Holy crap, dude. That's a match.
Yeah, and it was, right?
Oh, man, it was.
Yeah. I loved every minute of it. Orton with the I love it when Orton goes to the eyes of his shoe and he rubs your face on the eyes of your shoe.
Oh, yeah.
I love that move. I love the thumb to the eye. It's always a good move. They did great.
2 heels here going at it.
Which is great, and I wish somebody, I hope that somebody backstage every now and then says, "Hey, this is fun, right?" Orton's cheating, and the big guy catches Styles and lifts him up onto the apron, and then Styles runs forward and kicks Randy in the head, and it flips the whole match. And they're both cheating. I wish somebody would pay attention and be like, "Hey, this can be cool."
Every match doesn't have to have the same good guy, bad guy dynamic.
No, and it would make the good guy, bad guy dynamics better.
Yeah, because it wouldn't be every match.
Right. I agree. I totally agree. Okay, now, you know what else I liked about it? A lot of times when you get a match and something weird is going to happen at the end of the match, the 2 performers wrestle like they're waiting on the run-in. And this was not that match. This match, I assumed that The Fiend was going to be involved in this.
Oh, everybody did, yeah.
But they wrestled in a way that made me forget that was probably going to happen, right? And so then when he does pop up, I go, "Oh, cool." I mean, I knew it was going to happen, but at least I forgot for a second, right?
Yeah.
And The Fiend never touches Randy, which I like as well.
Oh, yeah, never had to.
He just distracts him enough that AJ hits the flying elbow, and that's all she wrote. Phenomenal elbow. I apologize.
Yeah.
This episode was really good, right?
I thought those 3 matches were really good. And there's some other stuff that was really good too. The Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross stuff. The 3 anchor matches were real good.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, over 3 hours, they miss sometimes, right?
Oh, you can't be good on 3 hours.
Would make you almost wonder why they wouldn't. Oh, never mind. All right, on to SmackDown. Are you ready? All right, here we go. So we get the main event. Uso comes out. I love that Corey. I don't know if Corey came up with that, but that's great. Jay's feeling good. He introduces the head of the table, and boy, this thing takes a. Oh, almost forgot. He calls him the best of the best, which I think is an Eric Roberts shout out.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't Eric Roberts in the best of the best?
Yeah.
What was the name of the martial artist in that movie?
Philip and Simon Reed. Philip Reed was the good guy. Simon Reed was the guy with the eye patch, the bad guy.
Okay,
The brothers.
that dude the good guy was amazing.
Oh, dude, his dad, Henry, is one of the guys who brought Taekwondo to the United States, like from Korea. He trained presidents.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. More you know, the more you know. That's awesome, bro. Okay, so Roman Reigns, he lets Jay have it. He's not happy with Jay. He said, I never told you to come down there and help me out. And he said, you know, if they don't respect you, they don't. He goes right back to the whole. He showed the video package of what he told him first, and then he lets him have it. And he reiterates that if you can't make them fear you, then you can't make them fear me, then you really aren't doing me any good.
No, and if I'm not feared, then I'm trash. And if I'm trash, you're less than trash.
Right. And we are really building Jey Uso right now.
Mm-hmm.
For when he decides to go the other direction.
Oh, yeah.
Especially after you get what happens at the end of this thing.
Oh, Dick. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, yeah. I forgot did your failures make me feel like a B word in the locker room, begging for leftovers? Otis comes out. Otis comes out for his match with Corbin, and he gets the chair treatment from Jay. Jay is crazy. He says, I'm going to get you. He says, you're going to get this work. He starts screaming, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I thought this was great. And again,
Yeah.
Otis is the kind of character that probably could use one of these every now and then to reboot him.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't I thought this was great. We don't get the Corbin match, which is fine. Nobody was looking forward to that. They didn't tell us about it anyway till right before it started. Robert Roode is about to have a match, and Dolph talks down Otis, and then they talk down the Street Profits. Profits come out, and they talk about taking the torch of positivity, but then they do mention that they're about to face Robert Roode and HBK, to which Dolph Ziggler replied, finally somebody understands what I'm trying to do out here.
Yeah. That was good stuff.
Dude, I got I've been wearing these stupid motorcycle boots that you can't wrestle in for decades.
Nobody got it.
Nobody's figured it out. Finally, somebody's got it figured out. Okay, the match winds up being good. I mean, Roode and Dolph are great workers, and Dawkins and Montrez are great workers. Montrez misses a frog splash, hits a frog splash. They worked on his abdomen a little bit, and that helps to make some of this stuff rough. Dawkins is becoming maybe the best hot tag in wrestling right now.
Man, he gets excited when he hits it, doesn't he?
Yeah, and that stupid spinning stinger splash thing should not be cool, but because he does allow himself to have momentum when he hits them, it is kind of cool.
Yeah. And he's such a big dude.
Right. And everything he does is physical, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Roode does wind up getting a roll-up victory here, which is a bit of a surprise, but I mean, heck, there ain't that many tag teams out there, right?
No, I was glad to see it because it was. I'm so the Street Profits buried everybody they've been against. It's not their fault. They're getting booked.
Right, and you have two very good wrestlers that are great at being mean and difficult and cheating, and you could get a good little program out of this, you know? Mm-hmm. I do like what I've seen out of the Profits ever since they've been away from the Viking Raiders.
Oh, yes, much.
Mm-hmm. All right, Daniel Bryan has some things to say. He must accept that Jey Uso is unhinged. He must accept that Sami is delusional. He's not out to get Sami. He just wants Sami's belt. We relive the dead man's final farewell again. Michaela interviews what I'm going to have to start calling the Mysterio faction, right?
Yes.
Ray, Dominic, Alea, and Murphy. And they give a somewhat babyface style promo here, which will be at odds with what we see later. Baron doesn't believe... Yeah. Baron doesn't believe all of this kumbaya stuff, and he points out that Murphy won't be around at next year's Thanksgiving table and walks off, and that's going to wind up being a match. And it's Metallica time, which is the Taker video, which was cool because Metallica rocks.
Yeah, it was a cool tribute.
Oh yeah, they do good, dude. WWE does a great job at these little tribute segments. You know, they just really they have the money to purchase whatever song they want. They have all the people that break down film all the time, and instead of having to do it quickly, they can figure it out and really do it well, you know? They very seldom miss on anything that they have time to do, which is funny because, like, they can't give us a sheet of what's going to be on tonight, match-wise, until, like, the show starts, because for some reason, somebody in the company, I don't know who he might be.
Who?
BKM, maybe? Believes that they have to work from the hip, baby.
All the time.
Everything works better when you pull them from the hip. Okay, Sami is against Thanksgiving and gluttony, which to me that's redundant.
I enjoyed this. I enjoyed everything about this promo.
Of course, and Daniel Bryan
makes you want to hit him so hard.
He does. He does a great job of being that guy that just you want to just kill. And Daniel Bryan is a backstabber, and it's true. And Sami versus Daniel Bryan. I mean, Daniel Bryan turned his back on planet Earth this year. Nobody seems to remember that, you know? Mm-hmm. That's a heel. You turn your back on the planet. Ugh. Okay, Daniel's effective early. Sami, nothing is really more fun in pro wrestling than a Daniel Bryan on a roll in a match. You know, he takes the beatings, he gets whooped, and then all of a sudden he starts to come back and he snowballs and it becomes this thing. And it is a unique thing to pro wrestling. And Sami refuses to give it to us because he constantly rolls out of the ring whenever Daniel gets going. And again, it's the wrestling matching the promo.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Sami can go out.
These two both are so good at controlling the story they tell in the match in any given moment.
Correct. And Sami sprints away, and Daniel Bryan chases in his ignorance, and Sami runs. I assume, I wish they would have showed us, because in my mind I picture him like Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, and the Roadrunner just getting behind like something and kneeling down, and Daniel runs right by him, and then he runs straight back to the ring and gets in on the count of 10, and Daniel Bryan's counted out, and it was well done. It was funny. It fits.
Either that or he had Jey Uso waiting in the back for it, but I don't.
I think they would have cut to that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he
cut right after that to where's Daniel Bryan? And Jey was beating the crap out of him.
So 2 weeks in a row, Sami winds up. Well, yeah, 2 weeks in a row, Sami goes over on Friday nights with clean victory countouts.
Yes. He's unstoppable. Beating people with 10 counts.
Yes, and so we do cut back, and you are correct, sir. Jey Uso is beating the snot out of Daniel Bryan, and Kevin Owens runs over to save him, And Jay says, "You know where I'll be." And Kevin Owens says, "Make sure Daniel Bryan is okay," as he's laying there. And then he says, "I'm going to go where he's going." Now,
did you see the shirt he was wearing?
What did it say?
It was a Bam Bam Bigelow shirt.
That's awesome. I did not. I saw all the colors, and I meant to pause my TV, my thing, and read it, but I never did. Dude, dude. Kevin Owens has to love that guy, right? Because they're, Bam Bam. First of all, he understands better than anybody what Bam Bam went through. Because even though Bam Bam was bigger than him, he was kind of athletic too, or very athletic for his size. And so Kevin kind of probably understands, like, when a guy like Seth Rollins is like, "I do all these great moves," and Kevin Owens looks at him and goes, "Yeah, well, I don't even work out and I do all those great moves." But by the same token, it has to hurt the joints and the knees and the elbows and stuff, to do all. Huh?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Now, Kevin Owens, here's what I didn't understand. Kevin Owens, and I said this last week about a segment on a different show, Kevin Owens is furious with Jey Uso, and he storms to go find him. And we're under the illusion that this might involve a fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're standing there, and the only thing between Paul Heyman the only thing between Kevin Owens and Jey Uso are Paul Heyman and Roman, and he doesn't even throw a punch.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get that. Now, he did tell Roman he was a piece of trash.
I enjoyed the little speech he gave at Roman. And
Well,
Roman did the best thing ever, which was just stand there and not even say, he barely said a word the whole episode, which is perfect.
Once he left the ring once the first segment was over with Jay, right, his stare was the only thing that happened the rest of the time for him. And it was perfect. And this was a tour de force performance from Kevin Owens from here on out.
Oh, dude, yeah. I was thinking this was going to be a whole different setup, but it turned into something else.
And this can go so many directions, because you can wind up, because remember now, it all starts with Daniel Bryan getting beaten down.
Mm-hmm.
So if Kevin is in this program, and we assume he'll be with Jay and Roman for a minute or two, you can turn that into Daniel being the next leg of this Roman Reigns tour, and you can even offshoot that. Remember a couple of weeks ago, Kevin wanted to be a tag team partner with Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
And so this could wind up giving you 2 months, 3 months worth of great matches, and turn into a tag team for a couple of older guys that have trouble being healthy, that are really smart and could be formidable in that environment as well, right?
Oh, definitely. That's
So,
great. Yeah.
So for sure, none of that's going to happen.
No.
Okay. Natalya versus Bianca Belair with Bayley Bay on commentary here. This is a good little match. Two talented wrestlers, but I believe the whole point of this was for Bianca Belair to give Bayley a right cross on accident and get us into the next thing. Because Bianca winds up winning the match.
I like how Bayley jumped up on the apron and Belair kicked Natalya into her.
Right. Causing the roll up.
It was just well done.
Correct.
It was a way to do that.
And now we have Bayley, who has been the champion for so very long, not in the title picture, and she is in the spot where she is to put over what is the best young talent in all of WWE right now, Bianca Belair, and I can't wait. I think this is going to be great.
I think this is great for both of them.
I agree, man. I agree. Adam and Paul are talking, and we know what they're talking about. Corbin versus
Murphy.
Yes. Okay, it's versus the whole family here. It's crazy. And so just to go through this, the wrestling is fine, but every time Corbin gets the advantage, the baby faces interfere to the point where Corbin gets thrown out of the ring, tries to get in the ring, and Aaliyah gets in front of him, which he hasn't done anything illegal here. He's not even trying to do something illegal.
No, he was going to do this little, get thrown under the ring rope, spin it, come back around the ring post and come back in for the clothesline move, and she cut him off.
Which is a vintage Corbin move.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so then they grab.
Here's my thing.
Yeah.
Why did Murphy need this much help? He just beat Seth Rollins last week.
Right. And Seth was the one last week who did the Seth chose to bring interference into the match by attacking people.
Mm-hmm.
And if you would have had Corbin doing that, okay, fine, that makes sense, right? Or if Corbin had been in the middle of the ring jabbing his thumb into the kid's eye, that would have made sense. But Murphy should be able to handle this.
I thought so too.
I lost you there for a second, buddy.
I said I didn't really like this. I didn't think, I agree with you, I didn't think Murphy needed that help. It didn't make any sense that all of a sudden he's got to have 4 people to help him jump Corbin.
Yeah, and two, they weren't helping in a babyface way. The finish is I grab his ankle, and he walks in the knees into Murphy's knee. I mean, I don't know. I didn't like this at all. I mean, I don't mind. Corbin should have lost. It's funny because usually we say, great match, wonky finish. I'm fine with the finish. Except for the grabbing of the foot. I'm fine with the win. I'm fine with the result. It's just how you got there didn't make any sense.
No, not one bit.
Okay. Now, Sammy walks up on Apollo as he's going to be doing an interview here. And
Big E.
Yes, of course. Because Big E's the key here. And Apollo gets mad and winds up, Big E kind of holds him back there. And then Sammy explains that winning by a 10 count is much harder than winning by a 3 count, and he's done this twice now. And Big E gives him a round of applause and then shakes his hand and holds it very firmly for 10 seconds, letting him know exactly how long 10 seconds is.
And does the count all the way through. Does the Tootsie Roll Pop count.
Right. And it was great, and we get Big E's going to be your next Intercontinental Champion pretty soon. And that's great, right?
I love it. I have no problem with that.
Billy Kay slides in real quickly and applies for an announcer job, and I thought that was good.
I'm liking her.
Yeah.
This goofy stuff.
Absolutely. Carmella says something. I couldn't hardly pay attention to it, but then Sasha jumps her, and we know where that's going, right? So we can move on?
Yeah, we can get past that.
All right, let's get to Jay versus KO.
I do want to go back to one thing.
Yes.
Carmella says, I was where you are at one time. I was like you one time, and I'm sitting there, and I was like, never in your whole career, in your best day, were you Sasha Banks.
No. She's had moments that you can go, well, that's okay that happened.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, she's not a bad wrestler.
No.
And she is talented in that everything they have handed her, she has made work. She's
definitely improved through the years.
Yes, the peculiar thing here to me is that we are asking her to go back to basically a persona she's already had, but just richer.
Yeah.
And she's trying to... I'm ready for them to get past her explaining and let her just be this character, because the explanation is not going to do it for me. I don't mind the character. It's cool. I get it. You've made some money now. You think you're untouchable. You used to be the queen. Then you were a good girl, and now it's cool. I get it. You don't got to tell me why, because I don't buy that all that other stuff anyway.
No.
Right. Okay. So let's move on to Jey Uso versus Kevin Owens, and this was great. Yeah, they did great, and then Jay decides after a fantastic matchup that the win isn't important, which Roman has told him many times. Jay goes...
You're not out there to win. You're out there to do what I told you to do.
And to make them fear us. And so in an effort to do that, he goes and gets the chair. He beats Kevin down with the chair. He rolls Kevin towards the table. He clears off the table. That takes too long. Kevin flips the script, grabs the chair himself, beats the holy...
With the stunner first.
Hits him with a stunner first. Correct. Beats the holy stew out of Jey Uso. And then gets on top of the table, screams on the head of the table now, throws Jey into the ring, beats him up more. Then I thought the beautiful thing here was when Kevin puts the chair at the front of the announcer's desk like it's the head of the table and sits down and screams, "Where are you at?" He hearkened. Go ahead.
It was so good. The whole staring into the camera and talking to Roman in the back. The cuts to Roman in the back with Paul Heyman providing the reaction things.
Right.
Paul Heyman throughout this whole match was doing a tour de force of not saying anything and putting across so much by just standing there beside Roman every time they cut to that.
In fear.
Cut back there. Yeah.
Paul's.
When Jey was doing good, you could see his face get a little less tense. And then when Jey would start to do bad, you could see him getting scared.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Roman was beating Paul Heyman in the back. There's some domestic abuse going on.
Okay. All right. Well, dude, I loved it. I loved it. Kevin Owens being in a championship. You had the best thing right now in professional wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it, in Roman Reigns. He has been now for about a month, maybe 2. And then you stick him in a program with who's probably your best talker, one of your best workers, and the voice of the common man, right? And that's the beautiful thing, because when I look at it, I look at Roman and I think this is what has always been the golden goose for pro wrestling, right? You have the chosen one, the uber athletic, the corporation loves Roman Reigns.
T-shirt, self, put his face on the cup.
Nature Boy Ric Flair, right? You have, or you could say The Rock, okay? Then you say, flip the script over to the other side, and you have the guy that his belly might be a little bit too big. You know, his hiney might be a little bit too big, but he's bad and they know he's bad, you know?
Exactly.
He feels a little bit like Dusty, you know, and then or Stone Cold, the common man. He even does the stunner right now. It's perfect. This matchup is what you need for people to dive in and really begin to hate Roman.
Yes.
Because right now everybody hates Roman, but they don't hate Roman.
No.
This is how you get it done right here, and I can't wait for the next month and a half of television.
Using Jey, and
Oh yeah. On all levels, you're right too. That's exactly right too. Even in those other rivalries, you didn't have the Horsemen were all with Flair. Stone Cold was by The Rock was kind of by himself, you know what I mean? He left the nation. And this way you do have even somebody as wicked as Paul Heyman is, you almost have sympathy for him right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is so well done. Good week of wrestling for you?
Oh, excellent.
All right, man. For my man Justin from EKP, this has been a Go Home Heat production, copyright 2020. Go home.